All right, so we think we need a fuel pump for an Element. Well, this is a 2003 Element. It's mine. So we're just going to walk through it right quick. First things first, here's the Honda part that we got. That's the part number right there to replace it with. So first things first, let's roll the seat forward all the way up. Lean it up as far as we can go. I've already got the seat up, already got my mat peeled back. And then we're going to pull some plastics here and pull up the rubber mat to reveal the access for the fuel pump. So let's get after it. All right, for this job, the absolute first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the positive side of the battery loose. All right, you're going to make sure you have no contact there. We're even going to turn the headlights on, honk the horn just to make sure that we have discharged all of the electricity out of the system, because when we take this loose, gas is going to pour out of that line. And also, when we disconnect the connector there, we could cause a spark, which could cause a nice fire right in the side of our Honda Element. So we're not going to do that. So disconnect the positive side of the battery cable first. Make sure that it is in no way contacting. Get it out of the way. Make sure it doesn't fall back down and start touching it. Get it in a way where it is not going to touch at all. All right, so we rode the seat all the way forward here. We took out the plastic cover that covers the seat rails here. We don't have to take the seat out, just take that plastic cover off to reveal the edges of this mat. Then we took the rocker plate here off. Then I actually popped the center console loose a little bit to reveal this little push pin right here, and that's got to come out. So you need a fork tool just like I've got here. Wiggle that thing. It's cold today, so I'm going slow. I just busted the ear off of it. I saw that go flying. But just wiggle until it comes out like that. All right, set that thing to the side. Hopefully yours doesn't bust like that. It's cold today. Set that to the side. And then that's actually going to reveal the access. Wow, there's a lot of trash in here. There's the access for the fuel pump. So we've got a few more things to remove. We'll remove the other side over there and then lay this thing up. And yeah, then we'll get at it. All right, so same process on the other side. We took that rocker trim out there and we took the seat cover right here. And then once that tab is taken loose there, again, I did move this console forward just a little bit. You fold it up and then tuck it under the rear seat right there. And now we have access to our fuel pump door. So I'm going to remove those screws right quick. And let's see if we can do that left-handed here. Got a screw gun set kind of low. This is going to be glued on as well, probably. So just an FYI, it may take some time to get this up. Also, for your floor mat here, there's a glue line right there. All right, so if you just kind of fold it here, you kind of preserve the glue line that'll keep that thing stuck down. That's kind of why you don't spray these out with water. There's a foam pad under here. If you spray this out with water, that's going to fill with mold. You see it got nasty right there, but the whole thing will fill with mold if you were to spray this out with water. I obviously need to do some cleaning. It's kind of nasty in here, and I will do that before we're done today. I did actually find some glass right down in there. There's been a window broken out at some point. It wasn't me. So we'll clean that glass out. But yeah, let's get at it. I'll get this off and we'll see what the fuel pump looks like. All right, so before we get too deep into this, I'm going to relieve the pressure on the tank right here. So we'll take our fuel cap off, send it up just like that, relieve the pressure off the tank. And now we're going to come in here and see our fuel pump. And there it is. I've already kind of taken this loose a little bit. All right, so for the fuel line, we just push those tabs in and then out with the fuel line. And we'll kind of tuck it out of the way. We don't want to damage this, because you don't want to have to drop the fuel tank if you don't have to. And then the connector here, it's really just you push right there and she comes off. That's going to take two hands, so let me get after that, and then we'll show how to get this ring off. Actually, we'll show it right now, because as soon as I get that done, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a screwdriver and put it on one of these ears and tap it with a small hammer, and I'm going to work that ring loose. Beautiful thing about the new pump is it came with a new ring and seal. We've got some dirt here, so we do have to mine that. I'm going to vacuum this before I take anything loose. So that we don't get any of this crap down into the fuel tank. All right, so we did have to take a pair of channel locks to get this connector loose. We're going to clean that out just a little bit before we reinstall the new one. All right, so but we just kind of tuck that out of the way. All right, we want it out of the way. So we pull this up, we're going to come straight up out of there. It is going to cause a mess, so we're going to actually put some stuff down to some cardboard to keep the gas from getting into the floorboard here. This fuel line, be very gentle with it, but you can tuck it out of the way as well. So you may have to hold it with one hand here as you pull this up. Now I'm going to take a screwdriver, a flathead, and I'm going to sit it on one of these ears, and I'm going to walk this around until that unscrews, counterclockwise. But first, we're going to get our little mat made up here so that we don't leave a gas mess and smell like fuel for the next, I don't know, 6 weeks or so. think ahead. Don't dribble fuel all over the absorbent foam here. Make sense? All right, so again, basic tools, small ball peen, good flathead screwdriver, and we just walk this thing off. Very light taps. It's all plastic, so be gentle until this ring spins freely. All right, once it spins freely, then you're gonna spin that ring until you can get it off. And the line and the connector have got to be out of the way so you can get it off. I'm gonna pull that up and out, and it should have the seal's down on there, but this is actually replaced with the new Honda part. And then we're gonna pull that whole thing up out of there. We got some things we gotta reuse, just a few things, but we'll go through those over here kind of off the car. All right, so in order to get it up and out of the hole, we take the ring loose, and then you're gonna grab the top here and you can kind of wiggle back and forth. You don't really wanna pry on this, just wiggle it back and forth and it'll pop up. That's part of taking the fuel cap off. It allows this seal to break here, come up out of the tank. And then you're gonna wanna hold it there for a while the fuel drains out of this thing, all right? Because this will be all fuel, probably not a half gallon, but close, of fuel inside of the thing. And the reason we're replacing this one today is because we feel like we've got some trash down in the tank, but more so we're losing our prime. And so at cold startup, we got a skip that we can't get out of this one. And our fuel pressure regulator and our fuel filter are all located right here in this one operation. So we sourced a new one from Honda, and here we go. We're gonna need a few things off of this. Everything is included except for this little clip right here. We're gonna need that. The new one comes with a seal, and it comes with a new ring, which is great because they didn't used to do that, but I'm so glad they do on this one. And then when you pull this up out of the tank, you just kind of wiggle it and turn, because you got to feed your float down in there without damaging it, because we want our fuel gauge to read properly when we're done with this. All right, cool. Well, let's get at it. Let's get the new one out and take a look at it. All right, so as we open the box for the new Honda genuine part here, let's get our part number. There's the part number again for what we ordered. You got your pump here, which we're gonna have to attach our gauge sender to the side here. That's not a big issue. We've got a new seal right here. We got to make sure we orient that properly so that it seals. All we got to do is look at the old one and see that it goes just like that. Make sure we put that on before we put the pump in, and then a new ring for the top. A new ring for the top. All that came in with this pump. Great deal on these. Do not buy aftermarket on these. The AirTech style pumps just don't work. You can get between 10 and 50, maybe 80,000 out of them. Just the new ones just don't work like they used to as far as replacement pumps go. I used to trust a couple of brands, Delphi and a few others, but they've all kind of switched over to the AirTech pump, sourcing them all from the one spot, and those just don't last. So here we are with a Honda Genuine, and let's get to it. I'll get this thing assembled, and then we'll get it stuck back down in the hole. Pretty simple. Well, if I had a producer, I would have shown that on the video here, but basically you've got some alignment pins on the bottom of this. You slide them into it. They're slotted. Only goes one way, and then you slide down until right there. You can see a tab right there beside the yellow wire. You see a tab there. That locks this in. All right, so we've got that ready to go. Want to kind of keep the bottom of this clean because that's where our intake is for the fuel. So I'm going to be sitting it on this plastic here for the rest of the go here. And if you see me not do that in the video, feel free to yell at me. Got to keep that thing clean. Next thing we're going to do is put this gasket on. I'm just going to slip it up on there and put it on there. Then we'll take these caps off and we'll talk a little bit about what's going on up here. All right, so now we've got our seal on here. It is oriented correct. We just looked at the old one to see how it goes, and now we notice, okay, well, this orange thing doesn't look right, so we'll pull that off. That reveals our connector. Put that in the box. All right, and then the red thing, we'll slide that off. All right, that's just keeping this thing clean until we install it. So we're going to take this clip off of here. That's our line retainer clip. Then we're going to transfer that to here, and then we're ready to install this thing. So let's get that clip transferred over. Be gentle with these things, especially in cold weather. They will break, and then you'll have to go buy that piece. It's the only piece that doesn't come with it that you absolutely need. And then, yeah, we'll get this transferred in. All right, so we're ready to go back in. That is actually going to take two hands, but we're going to push this fuel line back up under the floorboard, connector out of the way, and I'm going to kind of clock it in. We'll put the... we know that that goes just like that because that's how it sat in there before. All right, but we'll feed it in kind of like this. I'll feed it in just like that, and boom, and then sit it down. Then I'll get the ring, get it on there under the lines, and then we'll get this thing sealed up down onto the tank. So yeah, let's get to rocking and rolling. I did also look down in there just to see if there was any trash or any water down in there. Don't see much. It is a little murky looking. But yeah, nothing looks too bad down in there. No big globs of water floating around. They would look like kind of like separated oil in there, just kind of bubbles floating around. Didn't see anything like that. So always good if you have this out to just look down in there and peer. You know, obviously don't take a lighter and look down in there because you blow yourself up. I'd say ask me how I know, but I've never done that before, and hopefully never do. That's why we disconnected the battery first thing. That's the first thing we did, because we don't want to catch our car on fire. So here we go. Let's feed this down in here, and then we'll keep rocking and rolling. All right, so just a few tips here. When I put this pump down in here, I did clock it this way just a hair, not even 11 o'clock, just kind of like 11:30 right there, so that as it tightens, it turns, because this one does not have a lock tab that sits down into the top of the tank. So you just kind of align it. So I eyeballed it where it started out, was straight up 12 o'clock here. So we did the same thing going back in. And then the other thing was, this is the new ring that Honda gave me. And when I went to put in the new ring, it never would catch the threads properly. And it would sit kind of cockeyed like this. And I bounced off the top of it a few times with the hammer handle and wiggled and jiggled a few times, tried it without the pump, all these things, and it never did really want to go. So I reused the old one. So new seal, but I did reuse the old ring in there. So if you run into that, don't destroy that ring when you pull it off. You may actually have to reuse it like I did. So here we go. Now the process is just the reverse, except for we are actually going to key this up to call for fuel pressure and make sure we do not have any leaks here before I put anything back together back here. So we'll do that in just a second. I'll key it up and check for leaks. And yeah, we'll go from there. So now everything just goes in reverse. So we set the plate back down, and you'll notice there's some alignment dots here. There's little holes, 2 holes beside the hole. On every one of these, you want to line those alignment dots up. That helps us seal completely. So I'm just going to start these screws in here and then come back with the screw gun and set them. But yeah, everything else is just reverse order. Put it all back, put all your trim pieces back. I've got it running right now just to make sure, and I did check for leaks here. I kind of wiggled and jiggled things just a tad, just to make sure everything is seated properly. And then, yeah, because when messing with fuel, it's kind of just right or wrong, and there's no in between. And you'll notice I have this set to like the absolute lowest setting, because I don't like stripping the heads out of screws. I'll go back with regular screwdriver and tighten these to make sure that they're good. That's just so this stuff aligns easy, save a little bit of time. But yeah, then we'll fold this back down, put all our plastics back in, and we'll show that in just a second. All right, just like that, after a little bit of cleanup, we've got it put back together. Pop the plastics back in. Regarding these trays right here, you kind of have to feed them like this. There's an ear here and an ear here. You feed that under the seat rail, and then down it goes and slides in. That's the only addendum that probably needs to be made in there, just to make sure those click in. But yeah, that's it. Make sure all your wiring's sitting properly right here and on the other side, which it should be. Pop them back down and you're ready to go. Now we're ready for test drive.